Welcome to Whole Store Specification. Why is whole store specification important? Well, to the customer, if you have a situation where there's lots of different filtration options in back of house, you have wasted dollars in filtration because you have separate system and separate heads that all cost investment, and you're probably having these all changed out on a scheduled PM visit, or you have, even worse, 3 different technicians showing up to service all the different equipment here in this food service operation, where you could provide this all back of house in one location with 1 PM visit and maximize all the capability of each one of these systems, because these systems may not have the same capacity rating and therefore need to be changed out at separate times. So it ends up being wasted dollars in filtration, either through not full use of those systems or excessive service calls to change them out. And then there's wasted time in the management of all those different vendors. There's literally no one place to go to take care of all of their needs. Now, it's important to you and your business. Let's say you sell one ice system for $445. Well, a whole store system would include, in this case, softening, reverse osmosis, standard filtration, and the installation portion of it. And that ends up being around $5,000 per store. Well, in a 25-store rollout, that's $100,000 versus $12,000. So it's a significant increase in cash flow and revenue. Now, whole store specification. What is the operator most often looking for? A combination of products and service. The products and the installation and maintenance of that system going thereafter. So where do we start this process? We started with a needs analysis, which is a collection of 3 things. We need to understand what water quality we're dealing with, so we'll be able to understand what tools we need to use to get the applications to the specifications they require. A site survey to understand the envelope in which these products are going to be installed and what work needs to be done to accommodate that filtration system servicing whole store. And then the other inputs are going to be your customers' needs and demand, whether that's frequency of filter changeouts or product quality or equipment protection, and what sort of vendors they deal with, what sort of support they're going to need. And then you're going to funnel that information back to people within your own organization, or we're going to talk to the maintenance service people or the people who purchase equipment at these locations and get their inputs. And then we're going to take all this information and funnel it to technical service or application engineering, whether that's internal or external to us here at Pentair, and we're going to come up with a water quality improvement plan or recommendation of products and services that would serve their needs. And these can take the form of point of entry technologies like water softener and whole store RO, or point of use technologies such as individual heads and cartridges that match those appropriate applications like Claris or carbon filtration, or a mix of these 2 depending on the overall needs and scope of the project, and then what sort of services they're going to need to support that installation of that equipment. So what's a site survey? Well, it's a review of a commercial location. We need to determine where the utility connections are so we can connect our water using filtration systems and or any electrical devices that may accompany them in the case of RO or water softening. What space can be used, or what things need to be moved around to accommodate the filtration system? Where can our products fit, and what product will fit in the space available? And then we're going to test and sample the water. We're either going to test it on site for chlorine and chloramine, or do a full water test analysis with something like an iDip meter, or we're going to take a sample and send that into a third-party lab to get very accurate results. And we're going to take photos of the installation and the equipment set that's there. This way, you'll always have something to refer to when you're doing your quotations or reviewing the installation. Photos are worth 1,000 words, and this makes the site survey process so simple in gathering that information by taking photos of those nameplates, by getting, panoramic views almost of the installation space and the filter equipment, so you can remember what you're talking about as you take your notes about what needs to be moved and where. And they can be conducted by an independent service provider, an ISP, can go out and site and do this and collect this information for you. A dealer can do this work, or a distributor may have their own personnel that goes out and does this, or Pentair field personnel will help assist in times when there's chain opportunities and things like that to do site surveys. And you're really going to gather all the equipment that uses water from point out. Even if you're just going in for the ice maker, take this time while you're on site to gather all this information, because if you're successful treating that ice maker, they may have other needs there that need to be satisfied via water filtration. And that way you spend one set of dollars to go out and collect this information and have it on file for review in the future. The importance of conducting a thorough site survey. I'm sure you've heard the old adage, measure twice, cut once. It's about accuracy. It's about making sure that the experience of purchasing an Everpure filtration system goes smoothly, it fits where you said it would fit, and that they have a smooth experience, enjoyable experience with the product. Repeated site visits cost extra money to do. They impact your reputation, because you should be an expert with this equipment and understand what envelope that fits in, and those repeated visits have impact to your reputation. Unexpected service and labor costs due to misspecification or something being done wrong, or pre-work not being called out in time, and you end up with false start fees, and the need to replace misspecified equipment. Oh, yeah, you needed this size tank, but it doesn't fit anywhere. Well, the specification has to make sense for the back of the house, and this costs you money and your customer money and reduces the profitability of the job. Last thing any service provider wants to do is go back on a job they did, because every second they're on that clock, they're not making money for a call, and they're losing money for a call they should have been on. And you're missing those same opportunities as well by not being somewhere else to sell instead of putting out a fire with a customer. So do your work on the front side, doing a thorough site survey. It'll cut down that backside expense of going through customer service and solving problems with the customer. Now, this is a sample site survey form. If you notice, this is very thorough. It has store number, location, the date surveyed, manager on duty, hours of operations important so you can know when you can get in and out of the building, and have access where it will not impact them, contact information. If you have a service provider, the name of that company, and the tech doing that. So if you need to reach out and call him and ask him questions about the information he took or the pictures he took, that way you have someone to, you talk to the horse's mouth and make sure you get to the right person. Whether it's going to be new equipment or replacement, because are you going to remove and dispose of that equipment? People normally charge for that sort of service. Description of utilities. Are they close enough to whatever piece of equipment you're going to install, or is there pre-work that needs to have to bring those utilities to that location so that the equipment can be installed? What type of water heaters are used? Plumbing materials important, so you understand the scope and cost of the job. Size, if it's going to be able to deliver the water quality properly. Is there the proper voltage of outlets, and are there outlets available for use? More information. Drains, and very important to RO systems and water softeners. Are they sized properly? Are there shelving equipment that can be used for the filtration? Is the shelf in good condition? All this information is going to be important to the success of the install, and the customer's final experience. Any notes to the customer facility manager, move equipment or replace equipment, racks that can be used for this purpose, what modifications are going to need to be done, dedicated line to the coffee and ice because that takes a different water quality than fountain. You know, are there dedicated lines in the building for the applications? And if you do water testing on site, a place to record that information because that's going to be important to the specification of what type of equipment needs to go in. And this needs to be accurate, very much so in the case of coffee shops and steam cooking equipment. If this isn't accurate, you're going to misspecify. This is where it all starts. What do we need to treat in this water to get it to where we need to be? Notice that you're going to want to take free chlorine and dynamic pressures as well, as this may call out the need for different types of filtration and possibly a water boost to assist in maintaining proper pressure and flow for filtration and applications. So what information to collect? Measurements of space available. Carry a small tape measure with you. You're not going to be measuring huge distances there. Note any shelving present that may be utilized. Note anything that may be in the way of the equipment you will install. That's important because, you know, if it gets too tight to plumb to, how do you get the plumbing in and out of the system? The system may fit in that space, but there's the reality of bringing the infrastructure to and from it. Available plumbing and electrical connections. Note this is critical in the case of the customer that needs to have their contractor make changes before the filtration equipment arrives so that the service provider installing the filtration equipment can arrive and smoothly install the product and have it up and operating rather than showing up and going, nope, this isn't correct, or I need this or this, and have to come back and charge a fee for the first trip. Test the water quality on site using test strips or titration kits and TDS meters. I would steer away from test strips when it comes down to steam cooking equipment just because the ranges are difficult to read. Titration kits or something like an IDET meter would be best for on-site testing. Take the water temperature. Is it going to be too cold for RO? May need a tempering valve in certain situations, especially in northern climes. And I would suggest north of the Mason-Dixon line would be a good general reference tool for where a tempering valve would be needed. Take a water sample and send it to a laboratory if necessary, especially if you're walking into a problem water situation with corrosion or unusual scale buildup. Take lots of photos. Cannot stress this enough. Pictures worth 1,000 words. Plus, it's something you can pass on to other individuals that can help you, like technical service or your regional ops manager's team or your RSM or channel manager, channel sales partner. Make a list of all the tools and the material that might be required. ISPs will handle the tool portion of it, but materials, how much plumbing you think they're going to need, you know, based on where the utilities are, if it's within a reasonable distance. If stuff needs to be moved or added, that's where the end users, contractors come in to solve those issues. Now, the results are, like in the case of this example, which is a grocery store with a full-service food service concept back of house. You have the city water that comes in and utility water to slop sinks, toilets, that type of thing, washrooms. And then you'll have a line for a water softener that will feed an RO that takes care of the meat fogger, the produce misters, the proving ovens, the deli combi ovens that all require pure permeate water, very low TDS water. Then blended RO, and in some cases this may be the same system, producing both water qualities that takes care of the coffee kiosk and all its equipment, the rethermalizer in the deli and the bakery oven that may need a little bit richer mineral content for those applications. Then the water softener will service the dishwasher. Maybe they have a bottled water dispensing unit that will get serviced with softened water to protect its own internal RO system. Water heaters. All hot water using products are protected, like the pan washers, store fixtures, and dishwashers, help lowering energy costs on the water heater and dishwasher and repair costs for deliming and things like that. And then you have point-of-use filtration for like a Coke Freestyle machine and its associated ice machine, and the meat ice machine, which really doesn't require high-quality ice since it's just being used to ice down a product. Now we have to take into effect the water quality and what that water quality will do at the temperatures of our applications, and if it's corrosive, giving us an idea what type of applications we need to select. In places where you're going to have scaling, you probably are going to be looking at whole store RO for corrosion control. For moderate scaling, the same things, but a blended RO going to the coffee and ice, while a very pure water is going to the combi ovens and steam cooking equipment to protect them from corrosion and scale as well. And you can use this information from water reports to determine these indexes like LSI and the Larson-Scold Index to predict these events happening. Technical service can help you as well. So with all that information in hand, it allows us to select which technology would be best for that application.